Good evening. We are so thrilled that you are joining us at Mass Appleseed for this year's Good Apple Award reception. Thank you for coming. We wish we could see each other and celebrate our good apple in person, but we have a wonderful program tonight. I want to start by especially thanking this year's event co-chairs and host committee, as well as the board of directors of Mass Appleseed, for their work to make this event a reality and their dedication to Mass Appleseed's mission. You don't need me to tell you that the last year and a half has been challenging, that we faced hardships we could have never imagined. In those first few weeks during the pandemic, the world closed down around us. No one knew what to do or what to expect. And for the most vulnerable around us, those questions and uncertainties were literally dire. While the pandemic raged, the needs of many people, families, and communities skyrocketed as folks struggled to make ends meet and protections were scarce. Inequities not only persisted, they were exacerbated. COVID hit communities of color disproportionately. Language barriers prevented families from getting the help they need. And young people experienced increased rates of homelessness at enormous and terrifying risk. Mass Appleseed, like many organizations, kept going, kept doing the work to hold institutions accountable, and build up and fortify equal protection under the law, which has been challenged in recent years, so that people can meet their most basic needs and reach their highest potential. So many of you are right there with us. In 2020 alone, more than 70 pro bono volunteers dedicated nearly 900 hours to Mass Appleseed projects, dramatically expanding the capabilities of our small but mighty staff to push for systemic change even when the world seemed to be falling apart. Across the board, our campaigns to further our mission gained momentum, and we achieved significant milestones. Protections for young people of color passed into law, unacceptable failures of our institutions exposed, and access to legal rights and resources in Massachusetts expanded at a time when they easily could have been retracted. None of this work happens without our community of support. Each year, this event provides core funding that enables Mass Appleseed to sustain and grow our essential projects. I would be remiss in my duty as chair if I did not thank some of the generous sponsors of tonight's event. In particular, our champion sponsor, Liberty Mutual Insurance, who has been such an extraordinary partner of Mass Appleseed for so many years, and Cummings Foundation for their exceptional and multi-year support. I also want to thank Fidelity Investments, Goodwin Procter, Skadden, Wilmer Hale, Arndt Fox, Gunderson Detmer, Littler Mendelson, Mintz, and my own firm, Nelson Mullins, as well as our many other sponsors. And to Martha Mazzoni and Allison Douglas, two of Mass Appleseed's most incredible board members, we thank them for their generosity. At Mass Appleseed, we work to harness and change policies that marginalize, impoverish, and punish vulnerable communities. We fervently believe that talking is not enough, and that the status quo is not good enough, and that we need to reimagine what is possible and how our society and systems can change to support access to justice and opportunity for everyone. But we can only get there together. The Good Apple Award reception is an opportunity to highlight people in our legal and business communities who remind us of the difference one person can make and the responsibility we all share in building the world we want to see. Each year, we present an award to a person who embodies Mass Appleseed's commitment to public service, fairness, and social justice. Thank you for being here with us, and I'll turn it over now to Deb Silva, Mass Appleseed's Executive Director.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending our first ever virtual Good Apple reception. I want to give a big thank you to our board of directors and to this year's amazing host committee and event co-chairs. And of course, to this year's recipient of the 2021 Good Apple Award, Karen Morton. After more than a year of unprecedented challenges and devastation in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic, tonight is a celebration of all the good we're lucky to have in our legal community. COVID-19 widened the cracks that our most vulnerable families fall through and deepened inequities that have long existed. And in the wake of George Floyd's murder and the protests that followed, we experienced a nationwide reckoning with the way systemic racism is perpetuated through power structures and through policy. What has long been true became undeniable. While everyone deserves and has the right to equal justice under the law, this is a promise America has been failing to keep. It has become clear. Now is the time to take bold strides and to reimagine the way we deliver justice and care for each other. It's thanks to our community of support, our donors, coalition allies, volunteers, and many others, that Mass Appleseed has been able to achieve so much. And across the key policy areas we focus on, access to justice, educational justice, and youth homelessness, I'm proud to say we rose to meet this historical moment. In our work, we ask, who gets a lawyer and who doesn't? And who can't even get past the courthouse doors? Who gets given the benefit of the doubt during a bad day at school and who doesn't? Who gets humanized and who is rendered invisible? And perhaps most importantly, when decisions are being made, who is at the table? In the early months of COVID-19, we quickly joined forces with community partners to provide help wherever we could. From helping to develop online court forms to launching a study into the barriers people faced in remote small claims court as they struggled to stay afloat, Mass Appleseed was there. There were victories along the way, too. Almost exactly 3 years since we published our report examining the ways cell phone bans in courthouses harm people who cannot afford an attorney, these bans are officially a thing of the past. In this victory, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the late Chief Justice Ralph Gantz, who took our research on this access to justice issue to new heights, commissioning the court's own study and bringing the problem to the national level. And while we miss him dearly, we vow to keep up the fight for justice that meant so much to him. At Massachusetts Appleseed, we believe that policy is one of the most powerful tools we have to right past wrongs and repair the harms of discrimination that carry into the present. Through it, we can confront the institutionalized racism that impacts every facet of life, from getting a fair shot in court, to education, to housing, to the over-policing families of color endure, and more. This summer, we joined Lawyers for Civil Rights in filing a discrimination complaint against the Massachusetts Department of Children and Families, based on our investigative report that found that this powerful agency is failing to provide language access to immigrant and limited English proficient families, at times forcing parents to have complex legal discussions about their children in a language they do not speak. In addition to filing a civil rights complaint, we began organizing across the state to protect the language access rights of our immigrant communities and stop the wrongful separation of families right here in Massachusetts that leaves children traumatized and denies parents their most fundamental rights. We also expanded our decade-long work to end the criminalization of students of color and dismantle the school-to-prison pipeline. In 2020, we sharpened our focus to look at school discipline impacting Black girls specifically, and our initial report spurred important conversations around the state. Now, we're working with a community advisory board of students, teachers, and advocates to dig deeper and examine the lived experiences behind the statistics. Our goal is simple: to eliminate the policies that perpetuate racial injustice in our schools and to build learning environments that are places of joy and opportunity for every student. There's no more prominent leader in this issue than Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, with whom we are proud to collaborate on this essential work. She articulates the struggles that Black girls are facing today.
There's collective loss and grief all around us, and all of this happening against a backdrop of systemic and structural racism and an emerging of white supremacy. And so our children, our girls, our Black girls are carrying all of that. And they're forced to withstand the trauma that comes with being, on top of that, robbed of their childhood at such a young age. Because Black girls are being adultified and criminalized in our schools, the place they should be able to seek refuge, to learn, to heal, and to thrive. Instead, we're told that our bodies are inappropriate. The way we wear our hair is distracting and unprofessional, and that our attitudes and faces need to be fixed. There is so little room for Black girls to just be.
We also heard from Cleopatra, an undergraduate student at Yale University who is a member of this community advisory board.
The experience has been really great in formulating a research study that really centers the voices of girls who have historically had their voices silenced or had their voices manipulated. But also it has been a very healing space and a very understanding space for the members that have been involved. Our experiences have really transcended the boundaries of our different childhoods, our upbringings, our ages, and has really brought us together into this collective shared space of growth, understanding, and power that we hope to transfer onto those that we interview later on.
Finally, the last of our projects that I want to highlight for you tonight is particularly special because we couldn't have done it without the pro bono power provided by our partners, Baker McKenzie, Boston Scientific, and of course, the Liberty Mutual legal team. The Massachusetts Homeless Youth Handbook is a Know Your Rights guide for young people across the state who are experiencing homelessness, and it answers the many legal questions they may have. Each question covered in the handbook is a reminder of how, for youth experiencing homelessness, and especially for queer, Black, and brown youth, navigating complicated legal barriers can be impossible. This work is about breaking the cycle of poverty and upheaval and giving them the tools to avoid exploitation, protect themselves from police abuse, live as their most authentic selves, free of violence, and so much more. We worked with dozens of attorneys, community partners, and youth themselves to create this resource, and now we're getting it into the hands of those who need it most by providing trainings around the state. In advocacy work, we truly do nothing alone. It's going to take all of us to achieve our shared vision of a future that is just, that is inclusive, and that is equitable. If you haven't yet done so, I invite you to join us by making a generous contribution tonight to support this work. Because of you, we can keep fighting to ensure everyone can exercise their legal rights, build pathways out of poverty, and thrive.
I see kids on the street and I just think, oh, that's so wrong. What kind of society do we live in?
You've lost your home, and you've lost oftentimes all the people that you've trusted, your family, your close friends. A person is truly, totally vulnerable.
When young people are experiencing homelessness, it's an incredibly overwhelming experience. And so that whole process is just one that's daunting and can be scary for young people.
I was the one who got the call when Mass Appleseed reached out to say, would Liberty Mutual volunteers be willing to help create the Homeless Youth Handbook? And I thought it was a fabulous idea.
So the Massachusetts Homeless Youth Handbook is an extremely comprehensive, readable toolbox of information that people can use in order to get resources if they're dealing with issues with the police, if they're looking for a place for a shelter. It's almost like a comprehensive 101 course in what you might need to know if you're working with youth.
It has the ability to be edited as laws evolve. It's a great resource for people who don't have access to lawyers to figure out what are my rights, what can I do if I'm in a jam.
It's so intuitive. You don't need to be told this is how you use the book. It's almost as if it's somebody putting their arms around you and giving you a hug and saying, we can help you.
Young people may not always know the resources that are out there, but it's true that service providers aren't always up to date on all of the resources available too. And it's written in such a great way that both service providers and youth alike can really read it, understand it, and be able to access the services in the book.
It's a well-documented problem that there are not enough volunteer lawyers or legal aid lawyers able to answer every question that somebody who can't afford a lawyer needs an answer to. And that's why this handbook is crucially important, because it fills some gaps and helps people know what their rights are.
Being able to share it with young people and see how they're able to use it and really empower them to find resources is one of the great joys about using it.
Mass Appleseed was really uniquely qualified to put this project together because of the relationships they have with the pro bono lawyers across the city, but also with the legal aid subject matter experts who were they called on to review the chapters. They also have relationships with a lot of City of Boston and State of Massachusetts homelessness experts who also were brought into the process. And then, of course, the crucial aspect of getting people at Bridge Over Troubled Waters to both the people who work there and the young people who live there to review the document and make sure it was as useful as possible. I know what's involved in trying to put together something this complicated, and I don't think it would have happened without the resource of Mass Appleseed.
I think it'll have a long-term impact in that youth will be able to better understand what their legal rights are for things. They'll have a better understanding of resources that are available.
That's gold. It's gold for us, it's gold for students. It's really priceless.
It's important to support Mass Appleseed because they are going to get the handbook delivered to the audiences that need to see it. And that doesn't happen magically. It happens because good people work hard, and it's important to support that with your financial contribution.
As you heard, Mass Appleseed's work is addressing some of the most urgent systemic issues our communities face. When I give to Mass Appleseed, I'm helping build the Massachusetts I want to see, one that is rooted in America's most fundamental ideas of equality and fairness, which are reflected in policies that enable everyone to achieve justice and access to the opportunities they deserve. What's particularly special to me about Mass Appleseed's work is its community-driven model, amplifying the voices of the constituencies it serves and valuing the lived experiences of families and youth as foundational to its mission. I'm so proud to look back on these many months and see how the organization flourished with resilience and creativity. If you haven't yet, I ask that you please join us in supporting this work and donate generously to keep these projects going. 2020 was a difficult year, and like many organizations, Mass Appleseed was ultimately forced to cancel our 2020 Good Apple reception. This was hard for a number of reasons. As our largest event of the year, it's our opportunity to connect with those who make our work possible. In the midst of all the struggles we face, it's an evening of hope and a celebration of the good, and one we all look forward to. After so many months without it, it is now my privilege to introduce you to Enrique Colbert, a steadfast advocate for our most vulnerable community members across the state and the recipient of last year's 2020 Good Apple Award. As I mentioned earlier, we give this award to celebrate the good apples in our legal and business communities, the leaders who show us the power of public service. From his championship of the annual Winter Walk working to end homelessness in Greater Boston, to his dedication to equipping young people with the skills and guidance they need to thrive in school and beyond, Enrique represents the best of our legal community. He has patiently waited more than a year to accept this well-deserved award and address you all, and I'm so happy to introduce him to you now and recognize him tonight.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank the Mass Appleseed and especially Deb Silva for this honor. It's humbling to follow in the long line of award recipients like Paul Dacier, Mo Cowan, and many others who I look up to. It's also an honor to share this night with Karen Morton as she receives the 2021 Good Apple Award. I was originally scheduled to receive this award in March 2020. When I look back at that time, right before the pandemic, and think about the speech I had written and what was top of mind, it feels like a lifetime ago. It's been an incredibly trying and difficult time for the entire planet in so many ways, and our challenges continue to this day. As we work our way through all this, Mass Appleseed represents the best of our legal profession, showing us we should use all the tools at our disposal to do what's best for our community, and that we should start close to home. During the pandemic, Mass Appleseed has redoubled on its mission, concentrating on needs that have grown more acute during this crisis. That has meant, for example, focusing on helping young people and students experiencing homelessness and providing legal services to those who are financially most vulnerable right now. I believe it's incumbent on the legal community to do our unique part to advance the common good, and these causes are very near and dear to me. There are a couple of organizations that I'm especially proud to have worked with during the pandemic. Boston Medical Center, whose mission to deliver exceptional care without exception has been especially critical over the past 2 years, and the Winter Walk, which, similar to Mass Appleseed, also works every day to end homelessness in our community. Lawyers who work for large organizations like Karen's company, Liberty Mutual, or my company, Wayfair, try to uphold high standards for our companies and make sure we act in an ethical manner. But Mass Appleseed reminds us of the many ways we can help beyond that, by giving our legal skills for those who need them, by giving our time and money, and by leveraging our firms' and companies' strength and resources for the good of those around us. So please give your time and expertise where it's needed, leverage opportunities at your company to give those who need it a leg up, encourage your company or firm to give back financially, especially to the Mass Appleseed, find ways to get involved yourself, and be a voice for equity wherever you can. Thanks again, and congratulations, Karen.
Thank you, Enrique, for your kind words and for all you have done and continue to do. Both Enrique and our 2021 honoree, Karen Morton, remind us of the critical role lawyers have beyond their day-to-day work in supporting equity in our society. It's hard to think of someone who fits that description better than Karen Morton, Executive Vice President and Chief Compliance Officer for Liberty Mutual Insurance, and the recipient of the 2021 Good Apple Award. Karen's dedication to advancing racial equity and showing up for Massachusetts youth exemplify the impact one individual can make in their community, and we're so proud to present her with this year's award. In particular, I want to highlight Karen's work as a member of the board of Bridge Over Troubled Waters. Bridge is a Boston agency that works to transform the lives of young people experiencing homelessness, and a close community ally of Mass Appleseed. Both Bridge and Liberty Mutual are recent partners in our work to support young people experiencing homelessness on their journey towards safety and stability. I know I speak for many in our Massachusetts legal community when I say that to have such impactful leaders who lead with humility like this to look up to and learn from is truly a gift. I first met Karen, now a few years ago, at a Liberty Mutual event she put together to support early career lawyers who are women and people of color. She was so approachable and warm and so wise, and now whenever we speak, I'm struck by the feeling that she was someone whose approach to work and service and life is one that I should emulate. I could say more, but I'll turn it over now to some who know Karen best.
Karen, congratulations on this tremendous honor from Massachusetts Appleseed. You are so deserving of this important recognition, and your contributions to Liberty Mutual as well as to the Boston community are just invaluable, my friend. The work you do with Appleseed to advocate for our most vulnerable neighbors is inspiring, and you represent the best of our company. I'm so grateful to have you as a colleague and a friend, and for your personal and professional support always. Thank you for everything you do, and again, many congratulations.
Congratulations, Karen, on receiving this amazing honor from the Massachusetts Appleseed organization. You truly exemplify what it means to, as we say at Liberty Mutual, put people first. Your many contributions to Appleseed, to our company, and to the larger community are inspirational. I am so blessed to have you as a colleague and have appreciated your guidance and support from day one when I arrived at Liberty. I also appreciate your open arms in welcoming me to Martha's Vineyard. You walk the talk, my friend, as an authentic leader. We are all so very fortunate to have you be part of our community. Congratulations again.
Congratulations, Karen, on receiving an incredible honor from the Massachusetts Appleseed organization. I cannot think of a better person to receive an award called the Good Apple. Within our company, in the community, and for so many of us in our personal lives, you are an inspiration and powerful voice for equity and justice. I'm so blessed to have you as a colleague and friend. Your sage advice and powerful example make us all want to do better and indeed be better. And you show us all how to do it with incredible grace. Congratulations, Karen.
Congratulations, Karen. You're a great mentor and friend, and I can think of no one more deserving of this honor.
Hi, Karen. We're so excited to hear of this award. You are so deserving, and we're very excited to be on your team working with you every day.
Congratulations, Karen. You make us all better.
Karen, congratulations. I'm thrilled for you and even more thrilled that you're being recognized by the greater legal community.
Hi, Karen. Congratulations. I can't think of a more deserving person of this award. You are simply the best.
Congratulations, Karen, on this well-deserved award. You are certainly a good apple. It's been so much fun and a tremendous learning experience working with you. I am so proud to call you a colleague, but more importantly, a friend.
Karen, you're an inspiration to us all. Congratulations, Karen.
Congratulations, Karen.
The Good Apple Award is very special, and its recipients are very special people. The award seeks to honor those persons who exemplify and personify the cardinal principles of service to the public, fairness, and social justice. No one better reflects these principles than this year's awardee, Attorney Karen Morton. Karen's day job is at Liberty Mutual Insurance Company, where she serves as an executive vice president and global compliance officer. I have known Karen for well over 30 years as a colleague, mentee, and most importantly, as a friend. I have had a front row seat in observing her professional development, which one can only describe as pioneering and trailblazing, breaking through the glass ceilings which inevitably confronted her along the way. Whether it be as a vice president in the John Hancock Law Department, heading up the litigation and employment division, culminating in her senior officer position as the worldwide chief compliance officer today at Liberty Mutual, Attorney Morton has always played a key leadership role. For many, if not most, these professional accomplishments would reflect a robust and fulfilling career. For Karen, that has been just a part of her life's journey. Allow me to offer a glimpse of her work undertaken for the benefit of others. While at John Hancock, Karen's reputation was that of a true champion of diversity and inclusion. She was instrumental in establishing the company's first ever mentoring program to advance the careers of women and persons of color. In addition, she was the moving force with respect to creating several community partnerships, including the development of important educational curricula for younger children in the inner city. Another of these was an enrichment program for middle school girls in Boston. This program was designed to build confidence by enhancing their academic and life skills. And as you can imagine, Karen's efforts on behalf of others did not end with John Hancock. They continue in full force in effect today. At Liberty Mutual, she has played a critical role as an executive sponsor for one of the company's employee affinity resource groups and was the creator of the award-winning Liberty Legal Academy, which was founded to increase the numbers of attorneys, both women and persons of color, to serve as outside counsel for Liberty Mutual. And her service for the benefit of others by no means ends there. Karen is a fully engaged member of the board at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, as well as at the nonprofit Bridge Over Troubled Waters, which serves the needs of homeless and at-risk youth. Service to the public, seeker of social justice, and a steadfast dedication to assisting in the achievement of fairness and equity have been the hallmarks of her life. Her collaborative, yet direct approach to problem solving have made her an effective change agent over the course of time. This has been recognized most recently by her being awarded an honorary Doctor of Laws degree from the New England School of Law, Boston. It is both my pleasure and honor to introduce you to my friend, the very distinguished and very accomplished attorney Karen Morton.
Good evening. First, I would like to thank the Massachusetts Appleseed Board and its Executive Director for its consideration and the decision to bestow upon me the 2021 Good Apple Award. I know many of the prior recipients of this award, and I am truly honored and humbled to be included amongst such an esteemed and committed group of honorees. I would also like to thank the members of the host committee for their leadership, commitment to providing pro bono services, and their support of this event. I have worked with each of you over the years as my legal partners, friends, and colleagues. I am most grateful for your continued commitment to excellence in the legal profession, providing equal access, and ensuring fair treatment. I would also like to acknowledge and thank my husband, Ken Grooms, and my 2 young adult children who have always inspired me by their commitments to social justice to continue on this journey and keep my hands and my heart open to support others. Finally, I would like to thank Wayne Budd, my mentor and dear friend, for that incredibly generous and kind introduction. I am sure many recipients of this award contemplated what it meant to be a good apple. And in preparation for these remarks, I did what any enlightened citizen or awardee would do. I simply Googled the phrase, a good apple. I found out that there are numerous benefits to consuming good apples. Among other things, they aid in digestive health, support a healthy immune system, and provide antioxidants that oftentimes play a role in cancer prevention. While all of that was very interesting, I decided to place more weight on reflecting upon the mission of the Massachusetts Appleseed Organization. It was in this context that I recognized that the Massachusetts Appleseed Organization's mission is aligned with my personal mission and professional values to create opportunities for underserved and marginalized communities. I have been very fortunate to spend most of my career working for organizations whose corporate values were also aligned with my personal values. For example, at Liberty Mutual, we are a values-based organization which puts people first and strives to make things better. As a result, I have been able to use my talents, time, and treasures in partnership with Liberty Mutual to support such organizations like Bridge Over Troubled Waters, a nonprofit organization which provides life-changing services for homeless, runaway, and at-risk youth. Similar to the Massachusetts Appleseed Organization, Bridge seeks to address the systemic issues which result in youth homelessness and helps transform the lives of this often invisible population. I recall the opening of the Liberty House in Dorchester, Massachusetts several years ago. Liberty House is a home for homeless youth which was created due to the generosity of Liberty Mutual. It was there that I met an incredibly bright young woman. Despite some very challenging personal circumstances, which resulted in her being homeless, with the support of Bridge, she managed to complete her undergraduate degree at a prestigious local university and went on to attend medical school. It was at that precise moment that I understood the long-term and systemic impact that this work had on transforming lives and creating an equitable playing field for an often overlooked and voiceless segment of our community. In fact, the Massachusetts Appleseed Organization collaborated with Bridge and other similar organizations to share accessible legal information and tools and advocate for increased support and policy changes to end systemic inequities for homeless youth. The recent pandemic and social justice issues in our country have shown us that there is still much work that needs to be done. As legal practitioners, we are uniquely positioned to provide the expertise and support to create real change. I am so grateful that I can work with a team of talented and committed legal professionals at Liberty Mutual, led by Jim Kelleher, Chief Legal Officer, and Damon Hart, Deputy Chief Legal Officer, my colleague, Peter Tabani, and countless others who daily seek to make things better by providing numerous hours of pro bono legal services to members of underserved communities throughout the greater Boston area. As I close, I would once again like to thank the Massachusetts Appleseed Organization for this wonderful honor. As each of you reflect upon your own service, I suggest you heed the advice of my Shiro, Maya Angelou, who once stated, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better." Thank you.
We're so grateful for individuals like Karen and Enrique who dedicate themselves to the hard work of making our society more just, and more inclusive, and more fair, where all Massachusetts families and youth can thrive. On behalf of Mass Appleseed, thank you to our good apples, and to all of you for joining us, and to everyone who made this event possible. The funds raised from tonight's event fuel Mass Appleseed's work. They allow our staff to investigate some of the most urgent social justice issues we face today, organize and fight for systemic policy change, provide training and resources that expand access to justice, and build power in communities too often left behind. If you haven't given yet, I ask again that you please donate generously tonight to support this work. And finally, to close out tonight's program, we hope you enjoy this performance from Boston Children's Chorus. Now in its 19th season, Boston Children's Chorus is a community of young artists, their families, and supporters who believe in harnessing the power of music to connect Boston's diverse communities, cultivate empathy, and inspire social inquiry. Thank you again, and have a wonderful evening.
Hello, my name is Angus, and I am a singer in the premier choir of Boston Children's Chorus. When the pandemic forced BCC to stop rehearsing in person, we got right to work creating videos we could share so we could continue to sing. To us, it's a message of hope and joy. It's our pleasure to present We Sing by Jim Papoulis.
There is a way that